So I just recently got a sample of Jack Daniel's 12 Batch 2, and I'm all jacked up to put it against Batch 1 and Jack Daniel's 10 Batch 1. Stay tuned after the break and find out who wins the blind. So thank you to a friend of the channel, Chris Goff. I know you watch, and I'm very thankful for that. PA Bourbon Squad guy, very thankful for him and donating a unsolicited Jack Daniel's 12 Batch 2. Obviously, I had to put it up against Batch 1, and then this year we're really trying to put control options into any of our blinds, so why not drag Jack Daniel's 10 into it as well? So real quick, Jack Daniel's 12 Batch 2, 12-year age-stated Jack Daniel's, 107 proof, as is Batch 1. Same stats. There's not really any other stats that I know of past that. 10 came out in 2022. The 12 came out in 2023, and then this is the second batch of the 12 released this year already at this point. So it might be a contender to go on our big board. We're going to find out what happens. If you want to check out more about our big board, check the video up here. It will give you our first review of Old Forester 1924, and I think it's bangers. Otherwise, we're going to get into this blind, which is all the Jack I could ever hope for. We're using the chocolate Glens, black Glens, whatever you want to call them today. So I'm going to mix them up a little bit, and they are marked A, B, and C because I got a comment the other day that said the way that I do things is confusing, and I understand that because things that work in my head don't always work in reality. A, B, and C glasses. The bottles are labeled A, B, and C. We're going to go for it. So this is the glass from my left. It is one of these three things. Let's get into it. Cheers. Big cherry notes on this one. I would be surprised if this isn't a 12. It's got a little seemingly more proof to it. Some oak on the back end. A little bit of like wet nuts, like that caramel, nuttiness. Smucker's makes it. It comes in a can. It goes on top of your ice cream sundaes. It's a big note that I get off Jack Daniel's products, including this first review ever of Jack Daniel's 10, which is actually, sadly, as I was pouring this, realized it's almost gone. So at some point we need to kill that. All good things must come to an end, so bottles are no exception. There's a little bit of like mintiness on this, like spearmint. That is something that I generally get off of Jack Daniel's rye. And then as far as oak, it's not like overwhelmingly oaky. Knob Creek makes a 12-year age-stated 100-proof product, and that to me is over-oaked. These Jack Daniel's 12s, at least the only one that I've had so far, still in my wheelhouse. I think maybe that Knob Creek is an outlier, but I think somewhere between 12 to 15 is generally the point where things tend to be over-oaked for me. Like dry astringent oak is not something that I'm expecting off of these. It's not something I've gotten in the past. So a little bit of butterscotch, a little bit of like brown butter kind of thing. I know that's kind of basically butterscotch. Very pleasant, very distinctive nose with a lot of great flavors in there. I'm excited to try it. Let's give it a taste. Artificial cherry and caramel, like almost banana split without the ice cream and banana. Even though banana is a common thing that I get off of Jack Daniel's products, this does not have much of that to me. It's very oaky. The consistency is on the thicker side. It's very coating. It's a little bit proofy, but not unexpectedly. I mean, it is 107 proof. That is not low by any stretch of the imagination. I think it probably drinks appropriately for 107 proof, maybe leaning towards a little bit hotter than expected. The way that it leaves numbness on my tongue kind of is reminiscent of cough syrup, but without like the badness. I don't know how to describe that. It's more the tingling than the actual taste. Like it doesn't taste like artificial cough syrup. We're almost done with this. Let's finish it off, and then we'll move on to the next one. I definitely think this is a 12. I just don't know which one. We'll kind of pinpoint that in a minute. First, cleanse with some water, then move on to glass number 2. All right, glass number 2. Here goes. Oh, okay, the nose on this one is like oak and candles, like a little bit waxy. Maybe a faint bit of cherry. It's like very muted. Some vanilla, like maybe some marshmallow, but it's like, you have to really get down in there. Like it honestly smells like it could be 90 or 80 proof. There's no ethanol. There's not honestly much to it. I make an old fashioned with simple syrup that has demerara, sugar, and vanilla in it, and I call it affectionately my ice cream syrup because it tastes like ice cream. That's kind of the nose that I'm getting off of this. It's just the faintest bit fruity, almost like maybe not even a real fruit, maybe more like cotton candy. Definitely light on the nose. Let's see if it brings the flavor. Cheers. Oh yeah, definitely. Woo. Okay, so everything that it lacked on the nose, being a little bit delicate, being a little bit muted, it comes with a vengeance on the palate. Oak forward, cherry then, definitely doubling down a little bit on that like cotton candy type flavor. Like it's kind of generically like sugary. It's hot, but not overpoweringly so. It's very like, it's very bold and in your face right away. And then the finish is like fruit like. I wouldn't say it's really fruity, like specifically fruity. It's maybe like an artificial cherry, the lingering flavor after cotton candy, and then a little bit of oak there. Mm. This one's a little bit thinner. It's not as thick on the consistency. It's more like, more to the medium. Like it's not, it doesn't feel thin, doesn't feel thick and oily. It's just kind of in the middle. It's there, but it's not fleeting. I don't know. It's kind of like soda consistency. Finish is really good. I actually think the palate and the finish balance this one out nicely. The nose is pleasant, but it's delicate. Like there's not a whole lot to it. This isn't one that's gonna make you want to sit there and say this is a fantastic nose. It's an okay nose. Cleanse with a little water, get to the third one, then we'll rank and rate them, and I'll give you my guesses as to which they are. All right, number 3. This one's pure ice cream. This actually might just be a banana split. Like there's some vanilla on the front, bananas, wet nuts, maybe just a hint of cherry. Definitely some sweet caramel, some banana, like almost a cooked banana, like Bananas Foster kind of thing. Really interesting nose. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, definitely cherry. Like fresh cherries, oak, leather, a little bit of tobacco, like a sweet Cavendish tobacco, like just kind of on the back of the palate, kind of balancing all those sweet notes, and then some oak. Finish is short. There's really not a huge difference between this and glass 2, so I'm kind of reconsidering whether one of these was 10. I'm pretty sure the first one was not 10, but I don't know. Like this one's definitely lighter on the palate. There's notes on here that I don't know that I generally get off of 10. The nose is a little bit more than 2, but it's not as vibrant as 1. Yeah, fresh cherries, oak, leather, wet nuts seems to be the note that I'm getting a lot today. Doesn't have a whole lot of proof to it, but it is kind of like sitting in the back of your throat kind of thing. All right, so I'm done with all 3 samples. I'm gonna rank them, and I am going to guess, and then we're gonna reveal. So rankings are gonna go as follows. Glass 1 was my favorite. Came in with a good amount of flavor, but it came in with a little bit of heat. Glass 2 is my second favorite. It just had a little bit less on the nose and a little bit more on the palate. Yeah. And then 3 is my least favorite, although honestly, the difference in here, if I were giving them a point difference, would be less than a point. I think probably the nose and palate consistency of 1 makes it. I want a little bit more depth on the nose, and I didn't feel like 2 and 3 gave that to me. As far as guesses, I'm going to go with 1 is JD12 batch 1. I'm going to go with 2 is JD12 batch 2, and 3 is JD10. So let's find out if I'm right or not. So number 1 is C. It's not that one. It's not that one. Oh my goodness. Okay. So C is Jack Daniel's 10. That's a kind of surprising result. 2 is B, which is Jack Daniel's 12 batch 1. So C is Jack Daniel's 10 batch 2, and that's the one that I like the least. Let's kind of break that down for a second. First off, I did not expect to like Jack Daniel's 10 above Jack Daniel's 12 in a blind. Blinds aren't the end-all be-all for me. There is a little bit of variability. I'm not doing these reviews as scientifically as I do my big board reviews, but still a surprising result. I definitely like Jack Daniel's 12 batch 1. The fact that it beat out 2 is not surprising. Generally, the first releases are the best. I know I've had batch 2 of Jack Daniel's 10, and I did not like it nearly as much head-to-head. I hope that this doesn't continue to be the case. Have not gotten to try a batch 3 yet, but it is out in the wild. I hope to find it at some point. Then we'll do a 3-batch blind or something like that. Who knows? I think Jack Daniel's 12 Batch 2 is still a good whiskey. I just don't think it's quite where I want it to be. I think I want a little bit more bold, a little bit more out of it. If you are somebody who likes smoother, easier drinking whiskey, Batch 2 of Jack Daniel's 12 is probably going to be your favorite above Batch 1. But for me, I value big, bold flavors. For some reason, 10, even though it is 10 proof points less, had that for me. It is breaking my more proof is more flavor generality here, which is not always the case. I will be the first to admit. But generally, more proof has a tendency to have a deeper, richer flavor for me. And it is less water, so that kind of makes sense. I'm interested to see if you guys have any thoughts on any of the Jack Daniel's 10 or 12 batches. Drop those in the comments. If you have ideas for future content, please drop those in the comments. I love to hear from you guys. I love to kind of talk whiskey, and that's kind of one of my favorite things. If you want to complain about not being able to find either of these, totally okay. I'm here for it. I know that they are rare. I know that they're limited, and I know that people seek after them like crazy. If you like this content, check out our other videos. Please like and comment on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us out a ton. And we hope you'll join us in drinking like a gentleman. Cheers. Yeah, like cotton candy. Like probably red cotton candy if I had to guess. None of that blue raspberry bull.